I'm Crazy Mama, and I'm here with a life hack. And this life hack I think I would call give them the scissors. I'm going to tell you a lot of things that you can do to say yes to scissors for your children. I've been with a lot of children, and I'm really amazed at how many of them are really behind in these kinds of things. All the things that the children do whenever they are playing and making crafts and goofing around with this kind of stuff, these are all necessary things to help them to learn pre-reading things, pre-writing things. So I wanted to give you a few really cheap, really easy, quick things that you can do with your child to help them to develop the skills that they need to have whenever they get to school. This is not going to be about, learning the alphabet or knowing how to read before you go. These are the simple skills. And yes, some of them incorporate learning a few letters, but that's when you get there. One of the first things that I do with kids, and I wouldn't really give them scissors probably before they're 3, and you can use this as a teaching thing to let your kids know what the rules are. One thing they need to learn is that they need to ask you for scissors. You need to keep your scissors where they can't get them on their own. If you don't, you will probably pay the consequences, which most of us have paid once in a while with getting something cut that shouldn't be cut. But they need to learn that they need to ask permission and that there's a place for it, and that there are things that they're allowed to cut and things that they're not allowed to cut. But that's your responsibility to teach them, and this is a great opportunity to start. Whenever they're about 3, they can do this. You'll probably need to help sometimes. Put your hands with them. Show them how to hold the scissors. Let them pick them up with whichever hand they're going to pick them up with. Most people are right-handed, but some are left-handed, and some of the kids haven't decided yet. I have one of my kids, my number 1 child actually, who was what I call ambidextrous, which is probably the wrong term, but where he used both hands for different things. Anyhow, best thing to do first is give them a hunk of paper, like scrap paper. Give them scissors and show them how to cut it, and just let them cut it up. It's amazing how much time that a kid can spend just fascinated by learning to cut and cut this up. Give them the scraps. It doesn't cost you a nickel, okay? They can cut all this up. And then another thing that I do with this, that I take it a step further, is that I have them use the scraps to develop some more skills. Pincer grasp, picking things up and putting them where they need to be. Make them a letter or a shape. I picked S, and I might say to them S, and then think of some fun words that start with S. But I would probably put the glue on myself whenever they're about 3, although I might let them hold it as I hold it, and I would talk to them about, this is how much glue we need. Oh, we don't want to squeeze it too hard, or we'll get too much. Ooh, yucky, yucky. Things like that. I would put glue on there with them or for them. And like I said, as they develop, you give them the responsibilities. And then I would have them use these pieces of paper that they cut up and put them on here on the glue so that they could make a very, very beautiful piece of art. Oh, here's some. And I'm not going to finish it because it would take up too much time, and I'm sure you don't want to watch me do this. But anyhow, they can use those scraps to color in the S. And then once in a while, I might just say S. Of course, it's not really necessarily about learning the letters, but it's good to expose them to the thought of that. But there's the S. And then another thing that I do, and this doesn't really involve scissors, but it's along the same line with the younger kids, is I might give them a letter or a shape, and then I'll give them a bingo marker. You can get these for $1, and if the bingo marker doesn't work, I always go, wake up, wake up. Okay, this one's working. Let me see, and I have purple. And I would, of course, ooh, what color is that? That's purple, things like that. When these first start out, they're kind of sloppy, but after you use them for a little bit, they get good. And I would have them, the first few times you kind of have to do it with them, but then they catch on, and this is a good thing for them to learn to track, okay? And they can put polka dots along the line. And it's a little bit hard to do for some of them, but basically they're doing this, and that is helping them. They don't need to learn how to write their S first. They can learn how to decorate an S, and that helps them. Another thing is whenever they get a little older, you can do a pattern, because kindergarten has a lot of patterns. You can go, ooh, let's go red, red, purple. Red, red, purple. And you can start with patterns, and then they'll make up their own patterns as you go along. So you can introduce that. Okay, so there's another cheap thing, and I used really chintzy paper for this. You can buy the good stuff is a little heavier, and you know, you can get into that when you get into more exciting crafts and things, but this is just for them to practice. Another thing I do with the kids whenever I babysit or my own kids is while I'm doing the dishes, I'll get a piece of paper and I'll draw lines down it with a bold marker, a nice thick one, so it gives them lots of room to zigzag and not get it quite right, where it'll still look like it's right. And depending on how old they are, like I might just make them like this, or I might make them even almost straight. I already did a few. And I'll give them scissors, and the first few times, like I said, I might have to do it with them. But this is nice because it doesn't involve a lot of going around where the paper gets in your way. But then I have them cut these out, and then this is like a twofold thing. See, they're learning to cut. Believe me, your kindergarten teacher, your first grade teacher will thank you that your child is able to use scissors. Because when you have a classroom with 18 to 23 5-year-olds and half of them don't know how to use scissors to cut a straight line, it's really rough. And you want to be teaching them reading, because it's not back like when I was in kindergarten. When I was in kindergarten, this would be what we were learning. To count, we might learn a few letters, we sing the alphabet, we have nap, and we do puzzles. When they go to kindergarten now, they're teaching them to read. And if you hear noise in the background, that's because I live in a house of, used to be 8 people, but I don't know, I think we have 6 now. Washing machines, people, things like that going in the background, sorry. But anyhow, I have them cut them out, and then I use this and I make a book with them. I'll say, oh, we're gonna make a book. And I might write numbers on them and then have them make that many polka dots. And when they're little and we first started, I do it with them. Whenever they're a little bit bigger, I might write the number and have them do the polka dots without me, and then I'll make a big, big deal about the fact that they knew that 3, the number 3, meant this. Ooh, how'd you know that? Oh, you're so good at that, you know. And then put these together, and I'll staple them for them, and they'll make a little book. Or I'll do it with an alphabet, or I might do, when they're older, with sounds like an S, and then give them stickers, and they can put stickers that have in them, like a snake or something like that. Okay, so anyhow, that's another idea. And then let me see. Oh, another level is to teach them how to make a memory game. And this is free, and you can use it, you know, well, not free, you have to pay for the paper, but it's pretty cheap. Basically, I got a piece of paper and drew maybe 3 or 4 lines this way, 3 or 4 lines this way, and then have them cut them out. I try to teach them to cut straight across instead of around each one, and cut them into strips like this, and then they can cut them across. And it's amazing, whenever I'm helping in kindergarten, we'll have all these things like the worksheets, and they'll have these strip with all these pictures at the bottom that they have to cut out, and they'll be in these nice little boxes. And some of the kids wanted to cut around each and every one of those boxes individual. It takes forever. If you teach them to cut straight across and then snip them apart, that really helps. And the more experience they have cutting, the better they'll be at that. And that will really help your child to not feel like they're behind all the time in class, and it'll help your teacher But anyhow, then what I do with these after they cut them out is I kind of decide a theme depending on the kid. If it's a little child that doesn't know their shapes, I might draw a star or a circle on 2 of them, and we'll play the memory game with our shapes. And then if they're a little bigger, we might do a number and a dot to show these are both 1 or 2. And then I might do an uppercase and a lowercase letter, like uppercase A, lowercase a. And whenever, maybe if they're 5 years old, I might do this, and I might have them match these, or both uppercase, both lowercase, whatever it is that is developmentally appropriate from the child I'm with, is what I do. And usually, whenever I play games with children who are before the school age, I usually make sure they win without them, I usually make sure they win because they're not really ready to lose yet, although occasionally I'll let them lose, but mostly I'll model the proper behavior for when I lose. And then after I think that they got the feel of it, I might beat them once if we're playing a game over and over again, and then say, oh, I beat you. And then, do you want to play again? And yeah, they want to play again. But like I said, usually I let them beat me by maybe forgetting where that other star is or something, at least a couple turns. I kind of like modify it as I go. The older they get, the quicker I might remember where that other star is. But anyhow, that's another thing you can do. And then the last thing, of course, is to cut out other bigger, more fun things, more complex things. Like this is a lot more complex because they have to go straight, they have to go around, okay? And I might teach them even with this little strategy of first you cut out around the main thing, and then you cut this part. Like for this, instead of trying to cut in everything, I teach them, hey, if we go around like this first and cut that outer part off, then it's a lot easier because you don't have all this extra paper in your way. And then I show them that they can cut in. They don't have as much of a problem. See if they cut in here and cut in here, if they have that other stuff out of the way, and that they can cut part way. And that's the same thing I show them with these fingers, is I don't have them go like down and up and down and up. I show them that you can go in to the point and then start over here and go in to the point. And then it's easier. Believe me, they cut out hands a lot in kindergarten. That's my hand. And then this is like probably an upper level, is to make something like this, because they actually get the paper in their way, but you have them cut around and around and around. And then what's really fun with something like this is that when they get done, they have this really long swirly thing, and you can hang it from the ceiling for a decoration if you want to pretend to have a birthday party, or if you want to pretend it's a snake. You could also have them put polka dots on it, like in a pattern, or maybe put stickers on it, or Fruit Loops. But anyhow, those are some things that you can do at home with your child or the child you babysit. See, isn't that kind of neat? Ooh, and this would be even more difficult. But anyhow, those are some things you can do to say yes to scissors, because scissors, like I said, this is an important skill for your kids. And like I did say too, you need to teach them responsibility of when they can use these and when they can't. And it's best to keep them up somewhere where the child does not have normal access, and possibly in a room where you spend a lot of time, because that way they're less likely to be able to climb up and get them. But anyhow, happy cutting, and please work on this, because I'm sure that your teachers will appreciate it, and I'm sure that your child will have a lot of fun. Make sure it's fun, okay? Talk to you later. Bye.